Okay, here we go. Let me let everyone know. Is this thing on? Hello? Hello? Oh, why is my mic not working? So, hey, let me let everyone know that I'm here. And we will get this thing started. Cool. All right, so here we are at the end of the week from the midterm elections, and it's been super interesting, I think, to see the reactions of folks. You know, election night, Tuesday, and I have my coffee. This is a mug from one of my bestest friends, Janet, and it's got a lady silhouette, maybe you can see, and then her hair is all these words that say pretty things. But I have my coffee. So, and election night, I was watching MSNBC, like you do. And it occurred to me as I was watching the results come in or not come in, as some of them happen to not come in, just like our District 4. The guy who was doing the touch screen with the counties that came up and the red and the blue and everything, no love was given to Utah District 4. And that made me sad, but that's all right. We still have those results coming in. They're at 76% right now. So our 4th congressional district is for the federal representative. So Ben McAdams versus Mia Love. Mia Love is the Republican. Ben McAdams is the Democrat. Ben McAdams is in the lead with only 76% reporting. So if I were one of those MSNBC people, I'd be all too close to call. It looks like he's up 5,000, 5,500 votes. And that's pretty close with only 76% reporting. I would like for Mia Love to stop being my representative because she is not representing me. She's not even listening to me. And as I was watching on election night, it seemed that our midterms, or really anything political these days, is an us versus them. And that's not good. I mean, it seemed like we were reporting on the Olympics and it was North America versus South America or something like that. Like it didn't ring of people. It rang of parties competing against other parties for the glory, for the power. And we're not a country of parties. We're a country of people. And so when I say that I'm sick of Mia Love being my representative because she doesn't represent me, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about our Congress people are our employees. We are their bosses. We tell them what to do. And if they aren't doing what we tell them, they need to not be there. And so this is a case of, I wrote to Mia Love. I went to her website. I filled out all of the freaking fields and my information confirming that she was my representative and therefore she should listen to what I had to say in my email that I sent to her. And it was about how I think it was about the anesthesia this was back in the bill requiring anesthesia for fetuses over 20 weeks. And of course I was against it because there's no medical evidence for it and is subjecting the pregnant person to unnecessary interventions and invasive procedures, which put her at risk and needlessly. So I wrote to her saying, I am a doctor. I'm an OBGYN. I practice in Salt Lake City. I'm against this bill because, and her response was, thank you for contacting me. I will, of course, continue to fight for our unborn and the pro-life ideals and family values. And it was, she had not, no one in her office had read my email. And so that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, it's not us versus them. It's not Democrats versus Republicans and who's going to win the House and who's going to win the Senate. These are representatives of the people, and the people have the power. They don't have the power, but somehow this has gotten lost. And the problem is that the people have forgotten this. The people, me, my friends, neighbors across the street, the non-Congress people of the nation have forgotten that we're the ones with the power. It's almost like we view Congress as, and the president, as a monarchy, and those are the dukes and the lords and the duchesses and the king and the first lady is the queen. Like, no, we tell them what to do. And if they're not listening to us, they're just going to do whatever they want. Mia Love did not listen to me. It was evident. I have physical proof. And that's super upsetting. That I get that there has to be templates. I get that my writing to my congressperson is going to prompt an automatic response of some sort. That's not acceptable. You have a job to listen to each individual citizen that you represent. That is your job. Your job is not to win elections. Your job is not to put your face on billboards. Your job is not to do any of those things. Your job is to know what's going on in your community by listening to your constituents and working to better those communities. That's your job. So I felt really disillusioned watching the election night on MSNBC because it was like a sports ball game. It was like, who's going to win the World Cup or something. It's bottom of the ninth in the World Series. I don't watch sports ball, obviously. Football, yeah, that's it though. So I'm going camping this weekend, switching gears completely because I think I've rambled enough about how we need to be a government of the people, by the people, for the people, and not of Congress, for Congress, by Congress. That's not what we're supposed to be doing. And hi, Jackson. Jackson, I was wondering if you could expand on abortion via telemedicine or how conception date is confirmed and success confirmed. Okay, so abortion via telemedicine is going to be mostly counseling. And I know that there are some places that can dispense the medical abortion, the mifepristone pill. And that's going to be, again, counseling. So this comes in where in any realm of telemedicine, there has to be trust. There has to be trust between patient and doctor, right? This expands to, I'm going to Skype with my doc who's on call because the system has telemedicine, and I'm going to say I'm not feeling well. And so that doctor's going to ask a series of questions. The patient's going to answer. And without doing a physical exam, that's where the objective data is. It's difficult to kind of make a diagnosis. So the patient has to trust that the doctor's going to be doing the best that he or she can to make a diagnosis, to make recommendations based on the limited information that comes with telemedicine, right? That said, the doctor has to trust that the patient is giving accurate information, accurate responses to the questions being asked. So that expands also to abortion care in telemedicine. And so if I were doing telemedicine, for example, and someone said, hey, I need to have a medical abortion, and I call in and we have a video chat or however it works, because I don't do this, I ask them a series of questions, including, have you had an ultrasound? Because I feel very uncomfortable, even in person, prescribing a medical abortion to someone who has not had an ultrasound. I'll tell you why. 2 reasons. 1, so I know how far along they are more accurately, because people get their periods wrong all the time. People have their dates off all the time. Even people who've been pregnant multiple times in the past don't always know how far along they are, okay? So I want an ultrasound to know, are they within that safe range for a medical abortion? Okay. 2, and this is very important, I need to know that that pregnancy is not an ectopic pregnancy, that it's not a pregnancy that's outside of the uterus, which would be life endangering, and abortion medication, a medical abortion is going to be ineffective treatment for that. They need a different regimen for treatment if it's a pregnancy that's outside of the uterus or an ectopic. So that is, I think, one of the limitations of telemedicine and abortion care, is that if the patient hasn't had an ultrasound, that's going to be one of the things that they're going to need to get, just for that rare occasion of, what if it's outside the uterus? Maybe they don't have a history. Maybe their risk factors are really low. I'm still a bit uncomfortable saying, okay, here you go, have some mifepristone, take some misoprostol tomorrow, without having confirmed that the pregnancy that we're terminating is actually inside the uterus where it's supposed to be. Does that answer your question, Jackson? It's a good question. And I think that it's helpful in very remote areas, but in remote areas, again, you're still going to want that ultrasound to know that the pregnancy is inside the uterus, as well as how far along it is helpful. Just curious, because the medical abortions I saw with MSFC all had pre and post procedure. Right. So follow-up is another important aspect of that, right? Their follow-up is key. And again, really in any aspect of medicine, whether it's telemedicine, whether it's in-person medicine, we want to have follow-up. So that is, one of the limitations. But the idea is that with telemedicine, you're reaching more people who might not have the opportunity to follow up. Like I'm not doing telemedicine with people who live 2 blocks away from a clinic. These are like rural, remote areas where they might need help, at least counseling immediately to figure out where to go. Even if it's, hey, doc, I'm pregnant, I don't want to be, where can I go? And maybe it's, here's what you need to know about your risks, here's where your options are, let's figure out what your next steps are. That can be very helpful too. Good question. So yeah, and that's more on our minds with the political climate that is against those who could become pregnant having the ability to end that pregnancy. I was just having a conversation about this last night with a conservative friend of mine. He self-identifies as conservative, religious. And it's so interesting that, at the end of the day, for me, the pregnancy and the pregnant person are not equal, and they can never be, just from physiology, maternal physiology. It's just, that's how it works. They are not equal. But his belief system is they are equal. And I know that people believe that, and I have a hard time figuring out how to explain that even though you believe that, the fact remains that a human being, different from person, a human being is not allowed inside my body without my consent. Like, period, the end. If I have a right to be pregnant, I have a right to not be pregnant. And for whatever reason, this gets lost in but the fetus has equal rights. But it doesn't, because it is there by my consent only, and by the by, can't exist outside of my uterus. Can't exist without changing the way my body works, without putting my health and life at risk, making me 3 times more likely to have a blood clot that could go to my lungs and kill me, for example. Putting me at risk for stroke, for kidney disease, for diabetes, for all of these things. It doesn't have equal rights. Like, it just doesn't. You can believe it. You can believe the earth is flat, but it's not. Like, this is what's making me crazy. Also, I need a haircut, it seems, as I'm staring at myself in my screen. But I'm going camping this weekend, so that's fun. And I hope I don't freeze to death. Well, I won't freeze to death, but I might be cold. Taking lots of blankets. There's fires that we can be starting and stuff, so that's good. But I love camping. There should be tea and hot chocolate and s'mores and bacon wrapped dates. Those are my favorite. I always make them when I go camping. You just take a date that's been pitted, so the pit has been removed. You put an almond inside of that. Then you wrap that in. I usually cut the bacon slices in half. You wrap that around the date that has the almond in it, and you put a little toothpick through to hold it together. And then you put it in tin foil and on top of the fire. Oh, so good. Or in a pan or whatever you might have to cook with. But always take those when camping. Such delicious treats. On that note, I should probably continue packing up the car and getting going. So I'm going to say adios, and I will be back with you soon. Still watching the election results. Let's see if it's been updated. Still 76% reporting, but I'm hoping Ben McAdams wins, because Mia Love is not representing me, and I'm sick of her just kind of, I don't know what I'm paying her for. Or, well, yeah, my tax dollars pay her salary. So I will see you guys later. Bye.